Matthew Jack. Said he's on the way.
Matthew Jack says he's on his way from Cayucit. We have a choice whether we should wait for him.
I have no idea where he is.
Everybody's looking at me going, are you kidding? No, we will not wait. Okay, so everybody's in their place. Confirmation of quorum, I think we're good there. Call the meeting to order. Like to acknowledge that we are located on the traditional territory of the Lakota people. Adoption of public agenda.
Move adoption.
Director Colburn, Director Mulwiney, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Petition and delegations? None. Adoption of minutes? Director Lott?
Second.
Director Von Esch, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Business arising? None. Public consideration? None. Notice of motions? None. Chair's report? Dun, dun, dun.
Move receipt of the report from the CAO.
Oh, I forgot something in my office.
Second.
Second, thank you. Director Colburn, sorry?
I just want to clarify. it's a report
From the chair.
Yes.
Yes. Didn't I say that?
Julie did.
Julie? Julie, good. Discussion? Okay, let's get into it. So, starting on table 1, we have First Nations Relations Committee. We have Director Colburn, Jack, Mulwiney, Von Esch, Dahl, and Davis. Now, there is question, can we put an alternate in? Mr. Yates.
Mr. Chairman, the alternates for those directors are typically to fill in if the director cannot attend.
Okay, so could we add an alternate to this?
An alternate?
An alternate. We got appointees, and then we have alternate directors for the board, for the board appointees.
Mr. Chairman, I think as long as the board is clear as to who that alternate is taking the place of, then I think the board can do that if it wishes, certainly.
Okay, Director Lott, that's something that you were interested in, is that not correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, do we need to have a vote on that?
No, these are recommendations from the chair, so at the end of it, if
Or
the
you can
board-
vote all together?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put, I'll put Director Lott down as an alternate. If the board so decides at the end, we'll go from there. Director Colburn?
I have a question on that. I'm wondering, I'm just wondering why, because if any of the directors aren't there, then their alternates would be filling in.
Well, there was a situation at one of the meetings that, due to circumstances beyond anybody's control, boats were late, so on and so forth. The meeting was held up by an additional 20 minutes. And didn't have quorum. So that's why we're going in this direction.
Thank you for the answer.
Anytime. Electoral Area Service Committee. Everybody wants to still stay on that? You're all good? Yeah. Oh, Gerald is not wanting to attend anymore? Is that correct? Municipal Service Committee, one day we will have one. We'll have a meeting. School District 72. We got Vonish, Care, and Rice. Everybody still good? Director Vonish, you're still good?
Yes, Von Esch.
I'm sorry.
Von Esch.
Director Von Esch, you're good. Director Kerr, you're good? And Director Rice is good. Okay. Government Select Committee. Well, we're all good there. Strathcona Gardens. Everybody's good on the Strathcona Gardens?
Do you need a nominee from City Council now?
Well, we have Rice, Dahl, Senate, and one nominee from the council. Yeah, we got Director Kerr as an alternate. No.
Aren't you
And
going
there's
to be
another
on it,
alternate,
or?
Cal.
I,
No, we're good.
no, I'm on it. I shouldn't be an alternate.
Yeah.
I'm on it,
You're the appointee.
appointee, not the alternate.
I apologize. It reads alternate or appointee. You would be the latter.
Yeah.
Director Kerr, you're on it.
Okay, external organizations. Sorry?
Do they need an alternate?
No.
No. Municipal Finance Authority. Director Lanyon, Director Davis. Sorry, Chair? Hello?
Yeah, I had a question, just out of curiosity, because we have alternates basically for our appointed positions under Table 1. And I asked Director Dahl who his was, and he was like, I don't know. So who would he call if he wasn't there for one of the appointments? Or who do I call if I can't show up? Who's our alternates?
Go ahead, CEO.
Well, the city has two alternates, that being right now Smite and I lost her name. Johnson, thank you. And so they are the city's alternate, so.
To SRD board, but to committees, like, for example, yeah, it's confusing, right? Because my general alternate is Mr. Kerr, is Director Kerr. You don't have an alternate as mayor, because it depends on who's acting mayor. It's just different in our city. I don't want to make it over complicated, but
Okay, we don't need another alternative. Tom, sorry?
Mr. Chairman, it is a complicated situation with the Strathcona Gardens Commission. And I don't have the bylaw in front of me. It is regulated by bylaw. So if the directors are willing, be prepared to bring back a report that outlines how the appointees and alternates are determined for that commission. And that might enlighten the board as to what the appropriate course of action could be.
thank you.
Cool.
Okay, Municipal Finance Authority. Thank you, sir. We have Director Lanyon and Director Davis. You're good? Thumbs up, excellent. Municipal Insurance Association, Director Chapman and Director Colburn. Good? You, Strathcona Connected Coast, that's,
You missed the North Island 911.
I didn't want to do that one. North Island 111 Corporation, Director Rice, Director Chapman. See? Strathcona Connected Coast, you're good still, Director Rice? Yes. AVICC Regional Solid Waste Committee, Director Mawhinney and Director Vanesh.
Yes, however,
Yeah, I'll go back.
Chair? I just wanted to point out that this table here says the AVICC Regional Solid Waste Committee. Recently, I attended my first meeting, and the name of the committee was changed at that meeting, and new terms of reference were adopted, and it is now called the Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Committee on Solid Waste and the Circular Economy.
Are they going to try to get that on a T-shirt?
It'll be 10-point if they do.
Wow. Okay. Community Health Network, Reference Group, Director Mawhinney and Director Chapman. I'm fine with that. You're good with that? Good? Director Mawhinney, you're good? Toisas Treaty Advisory Committee, Director Rice and Director Sinnott.
Yeah, I think I should come off as the alternate. I suggested maybe I swap with Director Lanyon on 16. We would
Okay,
try.
Director Lanyon, you're good? Okay, so we'll put Director Lanyon in.
Or we could put Director Dahl. He's interested in being on Sulawesi's.
I think we already committed to Director
Okay.
Lanyon. Are we good?
I'm fine.
Okay. Very good. Halmalco Treaty Advisory Committee, Director Dahl, Director Colburn. All good? Yeah. Director Dahl, you're good? Pretty good. Yeah, maybe. Cahoos Treaty Agreement, pardon me, Advisory Committee. We have Director Vanesh and Director Mawhinney. All good? Wee Kai Treaty Advisory Committee, Director Mawhinney, Director Lanyon.
That's me now. It's Director Sinnott.
That's you now?
Yes.
Okay. We come. We have Director Dahl and Director Kerr. Thumbs up. Excellent. Thank you. BC Ferries Coastal Regional District Chairs, Director Vanesh and Director Vanesh. Wow.
Wow.
Which would you prefer? Alternate or appointee?
Somebody else wants to be the alternate?
Do I have an alternate? Anyone wants, Director Mawini?
I don't use it.
Everybody's okay with Director Mawini being on this particular board?
Thank you for clarifying.
I'm just clarifying.
Cool.
Marine Planning Partnership, MAP, Director Mawini and Director Sinat.
That's fine.
Thank you. Vancouver Island Regional Library Board, Director Rice and Director Wally. All good? You can live with it? I appreciate that, thank you. Okay,
Sure.
still on receipt.
Move receipt.
Thank you. We already did all that, didn't we? Yeah, we just need a vote. All in favor on receipt? Opposed? Seeing none, it is carried. And B, that the appointments outlined in the December 7th, 2023 report from the chair be confirmed.
So moved, Colburn.
Second.
As amended.
As amended, Colburn.
Colburn, thank you.
Second.
Director Wally, second. Discussion. Director Wally.
Do we have an alternate for number 10, Strathcona Connected Coastal Network Corporation? If not,
No,
I
there-
could serve there.
There is no alternates for that position.
There is no alternate?
No.
Okay, thank you.
you.
And the second question I had, is there a motion required for us to get a report on the Strathcona Recreation Commission? So we know how people get
After.
on that and don't get on that?
I'm sorry, for people, how they get off of it or on it?
Yeah, how you can, the rationale behind why people are appointed that.
Pardon me, Mr. Yates will take that.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I would recommend after the board has dealt with the staff recommendations contained in this report, then a further resolution if the board wishes to have that report prepared, it would certainly be in order.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, further discussion? One of the things to discuss is, I think it's also important that every chair or every board member, pardon me, when you're on these committees, come back with a report to board. Anything pertaining that we should know, please bring back a report so you can share it with the rest of us. Thank you. Director Wally.
Just for some of the new directors, the minutes from whatever meeting you attend are usually adequate. Bring back to the board for a report.
There you go. Okay,
You're on B.
we're on B, we're on call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. C, that the payment of meeting remuneration and travel expenses be authorized for the directors appointed made at the December 13, 2023 meeting of the board, except where provided by an external organization. Director
Second.
Wally, Director Colburn, do I have discussion? So this is regarding how much you get paid.
More about who pays you. So if the external organization doesn't pay you, the SRD
Then you
will.
get paid. You all okay with that? All in favor, please. Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Consent calendar.
I have a
nothing.
subsequent.
Sorry, Director Sinnott.
Well, I think this is going to be Director Colburn, but the same thing, which is to request an update from the staff regarding the Strathcona Gardens appointments, particularly for the alternates.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Committee chair reports. First Nation Committee. Thank you, Director Wally.
Second, Colburn.
Director Colburn, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Staff reports. School District 72 Liaison Committee, that the report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director Mawini,
Second.
Director Colburn, Director Vonish.
I'd like to refer this back to the committee. It's, updated terms of reference, have it go through the committee first before it's approved here.
Okay,
So I will be making a motion after discussion.
okay. So we want to do a motion on that, we just defer it.
You're on receipt right now.
We're on receipt, so on receipt, all in favor of receipt? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And do you have a motion you'd like to put in there, Director Von Esch?
I'd like to move that this updated draft terms of reference for the School District 72 Liaison Committee be referred to the School District 72 Liaison Committee for discussion.
Second. Director Moini, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. So that would move B to the next as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay, regulations feedback, emergency and disaster management.
Move receipt.
The report from the CAO be received. The Director Colburn, Director Moini, and we have Mr. Koopman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned last time before I was before the board, the Emergency and Disaster Management Act has now received royal assent at the province. The province has released a discussion paper inviting us to provide feedback on the proposed regulations that are taking part under that act. I invite the board to turn to page 2 of the staff report where it starts this conversation. I've provided you with overall feedback on that discussion paper, in addition to point-specific answers to all of the specific questions the province is asking of us. I'm not going to go through it bullet point by bullet point or question by question, but I will provide an overall summary of what I'm feeling here. Very important that municipalities and regional districts will need different regulations. We are very different entities with how we operate, the services that we offer, and how even taxes are collected. I would also really want to see from the province a compilation of the data, statistics, and answers that they receive from all local authorities that are providing feedback to this regulation discussion paper that's available to the public, because I can guarantee you we're all telling the province to put their cuckoo back in the clock. And I think the public needs to see that as well. It's not entirely out of the box. When the province first started talking about updating the act back in 2020, they asked for feedback from our regional board. We provide similar process here. I brought a report to the board. We provided it to them. They took a compilation of all of that. So because they've set that precedence, I would love to see that again. Some of their questions in here, and how long are we going to need to implement these regulations? At the very best, I feel that's a question that's being asked in bad faith, because they aren't telling us what these regulations are. So I have no clue how long we're going to need to implement these regulations until they tell us the details of what they're in. And you'll see a lot of no's in the answers to the questions in that no. I don't want the province to dictate with an iron fist how we operate emergency services in the Strathcona Regional District. The province was recently audited by the ombudsperson on their disaster financial assistance and emergency support services program, which was both found to be in tatters. So if they can't even run their own longest existing programs correctly, who are they to dictate us how to do our operations? I will gladly accept templates, guidance, suggestions from the province on how to operate, but no, I don't want it to be a thou shalt, this is what we have to do to meet your criteria. I also don't feel it's appropriate for the province to dictate how we consult with what they're calling Indigenous governing bodies. I feel that each First Nation in the regional district should determine how, when, and through what process they wish to be consulted. So that's kind of an overall summary of the report and my response to their questions. We wanted to bring this for you prior to the January 1st or January 31st submission deadline in case you want a further report brought back or want to expand on this a bit more. Essentially, we wanted to bring it before you at least one board meeting prior to the submission deadline. I'm now open for any feedback or discussion if you want to go into any of the point-specific questions or overall bullet point feedback.
Director Colburn.
Thank you for this report, and I applaud your efforts to respond on our behalf. The first point you made about the regional districts and municipalities having, different needs within the scope of this program is interesting, and especially to me as a West Coast kind of rural municipality. And, it'll be interesting to see what the overlap of that is within regional, sub-regional, local, we all know, but the geographic area that we're in. Also, I think there is a difference in, as you said, providing resources to us rather than dictating how, with no dollar amount attached to it. And so, there's a difference between dictating how we do it and then running programs that, asking us to run programs when we need all the help we can get. We need those templates, we need those things, but we need options within those. So thank you for harnessing that in this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Director Burwitty.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for your thoughtful responses and your clear articulation of your concerns, Sean. I really appreciate that. When I read through your answers and the questions that were included in the report, I came up with my own couple of questions for you. One of them, question A1 is talking about business continuity, and I'm not sure how that's defined, if it's referring to the business of the regional district, or if it's ensuring that can continue, or it's keeping businesses across the regional district operational in the face of a disaster. And I have a couple other questions, but do you just want to answer one at a time? Okay, perfect.
Through the chair to Director Malwini, that one I can clearly answer for you. They're talking about business continuity of local authorities as organizations. So that's business continuity as the Strathcona Regional District.
Okay, I kind of wondered, but it just wasn't clear, so thank you for that. Question A6, should the regulations establish a minimum required scope for regional district plans? And your response raised a question for me, because your response was indicating communities and areas 1 kilometer around a community, and I'm not clear on how a community is defined, and as a rural island with many different disparate micro communities in enclaves across the island. Many of those residential areas are butted up to industrial forestry tenures, and I understand from conversations that clear cuts provide a heightened risk of wildfire, so risk assessments of those and providing additional levels of oversight and assessment for these clear cut / potential flashpoints seems critical to me, so I'm curious how that measurement, municipality or community, was being considered.
Through the chair to Director Malwini, are you asking how I would define a community or how the province is defining a community?
Well, for the purposes of your response, you were talking about communities and within 1 kilometer of them.
So for that, I'm just defining community of where there's a densification of housings and structures. So I would define each individual outer Discovery Island as their own community.
And so Granite Bay would be a community and Copper Bluffs would be a community.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question, which was that question A7, you talked about should there be regulations. The question is, should there be regulations for how local authorities consult with neighboring local authorities? And you were saying that you didn't think that was necessary. I was wondering if being provided with updated plans would be beneficial from, for instance, the Comox Valley Regional District, because we do share a border with them, or also like municipalities that are within our region. So you just don't think that there's a necessity for that?
Through the chair to Director Malwini, there is absolutely a necessity for that, and it's something we do on a daily basis. I don't need the province to tell me how to do that because we're already doing it so well. It's already a best practice. It's already something we're doing. We do it on an organic and community to community basis. So I want to keep doing it the way that we are doing it. I don't want the province to tell us, oh, you have to have a meeting with the Comox Valley every month at this date and this time to discuss flood management.
Right? Thank you, Director Colburn.
I had one further thing on question A6. What about when it says identify the areas within a regional district? What about, does the access road of any said community, so 28 the Isabella's Forest Service Road, does that preclude that 1 kilometer radius? The reason I asked this question is we had a situation in the summer where where road access was closed off to the west coast in our area, and there was not very good communication. So you're familiar with that.
That's putting it lightly. So if, through the chair to Director Colburn, if I'm understanding your question, and it kind of tags onto Director Maloney's too, I'm not saying that these risks shouldn't be assessed. I'm saying it shouldn't be on the regional district or the municipalities to be assessing these risks. It shouldn't be on me, Bonnie, and Casey to do a risk assessment of potential slope instability from Highway 28 between here and Gold River. It should be if that risk is going to be assessed, it should be the province leading that. For Gold River as an example, if we are going to assess risk, wildfire risk, within a kilometer outside of Gold River, it is fair to us. I don't want to be responsible for leading a risk assessment for the middle of Strathcona Park. That's the province's land. So I hope that provides more clarification. I'm not saying that we shouldn't assess risk and know about it. I'm saying it shouldn't be downloaded on local authorities to do that.
Go ahead.
And further to that, I think that the clearer we make that response to the province, the better.
Any further discussion?
Through the chair to Mr. Koopman, I read through your report, and I am sure your sentiments on basically the entire report. I think a lot of it, when I read it, the requirements, they felt like they were very dictatorial, overbearing, and unreasonable, not well thought out, not well prepared. So I do empathize with your sentiments, and I understand why you're expressing your frustration here. I'd just like to let you know that, that I feel the same way.
You want to see frustration? Talk to me in the parking lot.
Okay.
I'll tell you how I really feel.
Director Sinnott, are
Yes,
you
thank
taking
you,
out to the
Chair.
parking lot? There you go.
Just by way of just some context, is this all because of the last few years and the various emergencies that have really struck the province in a profound way that now this is sort of the pendulum coming back the other way from the centralized government? I'm thinking like the loss of the roads when we had the atmospheric river, how they poorly responded, I think, to some of the COVID constraints and declared an emergency and upended us in all sorts of ways that we're still trying to sort out.
Yeah, through the chair to Director Sinnott, the short story of that is yes. This update of the act was started by the previous Liberal government in baby steps, and then after 2017 and 2018 wildfires was completely taken back to the woodshed and started brand new. But yes, essentially.
Okay, still on receipt. There was discussion. All in favor of receipt? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. B is that the submission to be provided to the province, for the province regarding the proposal for modernization, the emergency management legislation, regulations for local authorities based on the information contained in the December 8th, 2023 report from the CAO. Director Lott?
Second.
Director Colburn? Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you, Mr. Koopman. Parcel tax roll review panel appointments for 2024. So, the report from the CAO be received. Director
Second.
Wally, Director Colburn, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Now, who do we get? That director, I'm seeing all these hands fly up all at once. It's just amazing. Director Mowini? And Director Lott and Director Sinnott. Beautiful how that came together. Be appointed as members of the Parcel Tax Roll Review Panel for 2024.
So moved.
Director Colburn. Director Chapman. Discussion.
I looked at the workflow for that particular subject, and it looks like we're meeting once. Is that correct, or we'll be meeting a number of times?
Go ahead, Mr. Yates.
Mr. Chairman, it will depend on whether or not any appeals are to be heard. There are no new parcel tax rolls planned for 2024. So a big question entirely of whether existing properties that are subject to these taxes file an appeal before the deadline. And if they do, then there will be an initial sitting of the parcel tax roll review panel as suggested in C, Part C of this staff recommendation. If that's not resolved, there'll be further sittings. But typically, there are between 0 and 1 sittings for this parcel tax.
Some questions to the chair. Other than the 2 items that were identified there, is there any other items for consideration in the parcel tax?
No, just the parcel tax. Sorry, the
Thank
two
you, sir.
parcel taxes.
Okay. So we are still on B. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. C, that if required, the first sitting of the Parcel Tax Roll Review Panel be scheduled for 8:45 a.m. on a Wednesday, February 7th, 2024 at the Regional District Corporate Office. Director Mowini, Director Von Nesch, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Sam and Brewster Trail Funding, request for extension. Report from the CAO be received. Director Wally, Director, what's your last name again? Mowini, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And B, that the chair and the corporate officer be authorized to execute a 3-month extension to 210-1, what? That's not part of it. Forget 210. Sorry, it looked like it just bled right in there. Extension of the funding agreement between the Backcountry Horseman Society and the Regional District for the Sam and Brewster Trail Project. Director Wally, Director Colburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. If I can get the directors to use their microphones when they speak, please. That'd be great, thank you. They can't hear you on the recording. Finalization of the 2023-2027 strategic plan, that the report from the CAO be received.
So moved.
Second.
Director Colburn, Director Von Nesch, discussion.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can, just for clarity, I know the board did say to us that they wanted it on a separate day, and 3 of the 4 are. So if anyone was looking at January 24th, I did include one at the end of the board day if the board wanted to consider that. So the 24th is a scheduled board day. The other 3 are open days. And if none of these work for anybody, we can come back with another report.
Director Mowini.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to mention that options C and D interfere with the Electoral Area Directors Forum.
Okay, Director Colburn.
And we'll deal with it, of course, in the subsequent, but if we're discussing possible dates, I mean, I always prefer that they're on a board meeting day. I know that makes for a long day.
Hey, Director Lott.
Unfortunately, unable to make any of these dates, and I'm just wondering, is a Zoom option available? Because I'll be at work at that time.
Yeah, Zoom's available.
Okay, that was discussion on receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried.
So that was
Good day, sir.
that motion to receive.
Yes, that was to receive. Now we're looking for a subsequent.
I'd like to move option A, that a meeting of the committee of the whole be scheduled for 3:30 PM on Wednesday, January 24th, to complete the review of the draft 2023 to 27 strategic plan.
I'll second that.
Director Sinnott, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Okay, number 6, proposed regional grant, the VICC Climate Leadership Committee, that the report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director Mawhinney,
Second.
Director Von Esch, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Financial plan for 2024-2028, that the report from the CAO be received.
So moved.
Director Lott.
Second.
Director Chapman, discussion. All in favor?
Question to the chair for the CAO. I was just when I read that report, it looks like you're creating a full-time position, or you want to create a full-time position. And I was wondering, if you didn't create that full-time position, would you still have it in the budget to staff that function with your casual labor pool there? Is that, am I trying to understand, is there any financial implications on it?
Yeah, you're a little ahead of me, but you got it right. We'll bring up that business plan for you, but in a nutshell, yes, we have a patchwork quilt of funding for that position. We're looking just basically consolidate it, and it is cost neutral. But that'll come up here in the presentation.
Through the chair, thank you.
Okay, we're still on discussion.
So if I can, Mr. Chair, just a little intro to what we're going to do, similar to the previous groups this morning, the Electoral Area Services and the Strathcona Gardens. What we presented in November was a surplus report to give you kind of line of sight on what individual budgets were looking like, measure the surpluses, see if they're going up and down, and the health of the service. So as we, regional districts, we inch our way closer to the end of the year, we're better able to refine those numbers as we get financials in, expenses out. One thing we don't have is assessments. At the end of the day, we can do as much planning as we can, but then we really depend on assessments and year-end numbers to consolidate these. Unlike a municipality, we have these 60 or 70 silos that we have to balance these budgets individually. And so it's really critical that we can't really put those numbers into the hopper until we get year-end numbers and assessments. And that comes early January. We're able to do that and provide that information on January 24th, which gives you an answer to all the things that we've added in, cost of living, and what those services will cost individually. So, but at this point, this group here, we have meetings for the groups that contribute to a certain amount of services. So if you can put one slide up past for me, Edith. Another one, please. Okay, so this group, the board, we all contribute, vote, pay into the regional services, and individually we've presented those to the group. This board has a history of taking what we call base budget. So anything you see in green in here is an operational base budget, and anything then extends in blue of what you'll see is what we'll call a CPI change, contract negotiations, fuel, services that system has to have to survive under the existing service level that were provided. So if we look through here and we look at planning, feasibility studies, just like home, no changes to it. Regional broadband here is a service function that we all pay into. None of these that you see up here, we presented to the board, have any changes over and above base, other than cost of living inclusions in it. So, you know, I skipped to the end, take Mike's thunder, but what we have here is nothing over and above base that doesn't include cost of living. So I'll transfer it to Mike for what I haven't said, and then I have a couple comments on a couple of the services here.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, so the first slide here is just a quick snapshot of CPI. It's one of the major factors that affects our budget. As Dave says, we have a basis-based concept where we just include anything that's already existing, then we adjust it for, stuff like insurance, tipping fees, hydro and whatnot. So we bake that in. Anytime there's a material level of a change of service or a new commitment, we try and do that through a business case. And the capital fund is in the same way. Any renewals of existing equipment and infrastructure is already included, and if there's something new and shiny, we bring that forward in a business case. So we have various inputs we do for labor, insurance, and everything else that's baked in. And one other thing too is we talk a lot about tax rates, which we'll get into. Everything now is based on the 2023 assessment data, and then we'll update in early January for the 2024. So here we have all the services that we're reporting on today, and again, these are everything that's shared regionally, and then we just did just a high-level overview of what's changing. So as Dave commented, the first four, there's nothing's really changing. As far as feasibility studies, we had higher taxation in the past couple of years, and now we have no new studies planned, so you're going to see a reduction there. Yeah, just like home, there's no change. I think Dave will probably speak with the regional broadband. For the Strathcona Emergency Program, it's just more active, so we have a bit of a bump for office supplies and some of the contingency, as well as the sports service charge, which is driven by transactions. For 911 is actually a bit of a change this year. They have the next gen 911 rollout, so they do have a $45,000 grant to offset some of the some of the rollout fees, but again, their base budget is increasing, so our budgets just reflect that increase. As far as municipal administration, here we usually wait till after year end to get a lot of the everybody's expense reports and everything in. So some of our estimates are quite conservative, so you might see a bit of a reduction there. But long story short, we're just kind of returning back to a normal spending pattern after COVID and all the Zoom meetings. And as far as general admin, we do have the new fire service that we're offsetting with a bit of a reserve transfer, and we also have higher investment income. And we also have some carry forwards that were complete in 2023, so that reduces the 2024 budget. Overall, it's about a 3% increase. And these are the requisition changes per home for the different areas. So a bit of added commentary for this. All the municipalities have their administration function included, whereas the EAs don't. We talked about that this morning, and we'll be talking a bit more about it tomorrow. The one misleading thing here is when you're making a comparison here, all these places actually get the same mill rate. There's a difference, though, in how the tax base is constructed. So if you look at the electoral areas, Area A really stands out. It's only 48% of their tax base is residential. The rest is managed forest lands and utilities and light industry. So if we were looking at all the tax bases combined, it would share a different story. And then the other big factor is although the same mill rate, there's different home values in the area. So Area D obviously has more expensive home values than Area A, so that's why you see a higher impact there. And Area D is almost 80% or almost 90% residential. So that's why you're going to see a discrepancy here, just because we're looking at the residential. And Village of Sayward sticks out too, just because they have a shared garbage service with electoral area A. We'll be talking about the garbage tomorrow, but we're just showing the impact here.
So if I can just jump in here to give some perspective, maybe some understanding that folks are reading this right. We don't tend to talk in terms of rates per thousand when we're presenting the budget. The number you hear is a whole number per home. So Campbell River is one, for example, that when we talk about all the shared regional services that Campbell River participates in, that's a net total increase per home in 2024 of $7.60. That's not a per thousand number, it's total number per home. And I think what's important in that, so that includes just like home, 911, general admin, all the services that we provide regionally. So what is of note, I think, for the group to understand and really congratulate themselves for it is that our regional fire service fits within that $7.60. In general government, just because I know the number, it's in your package, general government increase for Campbell River as the whole was $1.90 a home. Not all of that is for regional fire, just a portion of it. So for round figures, let's call it $1. So we took that position and we allocated 70% of the resources of those two positions to Campbell River Fire. And then we took the 30% and we split that amongst the rest of municipalities and the electoral areas. And the impact is for Campbell River $1 a home, and it's cents per home for the other areas in the regional district. So I think that in my time here is the greatest example of us pulling a regional service together and really benefiting from the economy of scale in there. And I think that's really a super efficient model that we did, and an example of what you can do regionally, sharing common interest in there. So again, it's broken out in your package individually of what those services are, and just a reminder that regional fire was within general government. Flip to the next slide here, if we can. So again, what we have done traditionally then, what you see as base is base. Anything that we have shown you here is not over and above, is to support current service levels, like I said, cost of fuel, hydro contracts, agreements. And then we come and we say if there's commitments beyond that, we will ask for your permission to embed them into the base budget and let you have a look at it when the budget comes forward. This one, I believe, is fairly simple in terms of we have corporate services admin support. It is funded through corporate services in general government, is fully funded, but we populate that position by putting pieces of funding together through casual, sick time, that type of funding to support that position. It's full-time funding in pieces. In order for us to gain some consistency in recruitment for that and retain the staff we have, it's much easier, beneficial for us for that to be a full-time position. We're proposing that the funding for that be consolidated into a full-time position. There is no net additional cost for that position. It is just creating that as a full-time support position.
Okay, any questions? Director Colburn.
I have two questions, or a question and a comment, actually. While I was going through the budget, I noticed like fleet has been kind of separated out. Do you, what was the word that you used? Do you bake that asset management kind of, those numbers inside the actual capital assets we have?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So fleet, for example, that'll get paid off by several services. Through anything like even through the regional parks, whatnot, all that gets transferred in and everything flows through 117 department.
So, life of, potential like lifetime of this building, lifetime of our fleet vehicles, all of that stuff is baked right into those numbers.
Yeah, exactly right. So 114 is the corporate building area is kind of a catch-all category for everything else, and so we pool it in there, and then we look at the how much money that reserve has, what our future looks like, and then we kind of make a best judgment call on the annual transfer amount that goes into the reserve.
Perfect, thank you for that. And then the comment that I have is absolutely in favor of this. There's been a significant continuing download of things coming from the province, and so we're finding in our municipality especially that we're leaning on other people more, and I think that also translates to smaller municipalities, their capacity issues, and kind of leaning on other local governments like the RD or advice from other communities, and so I think that this is needed in this age of this government and how they're just hammering us with new stuff, new legislation, new requirements. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, still on receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. B, that the business case for the administration support assistant position in the Corporate Services Department be approved for inclusion in the draft of 2024-2028 financial plan when presented at the 2024 January, 24th.
moved.
So moved.
Second, Colburn.
Director Lott, Director Colburn. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Bylaw number 276, Oyster Bay, Bottle Lake Official Community Plan. Report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Mulwini. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. B, that the report on the public hearing for bylaw 276 and all related records be received.
Move receipt.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Mulwini, discussion? Director Rice.
Thank you, Chair. I was notified a few days ago that there was some concerns that perhaps maybe the last public hearing that we had, that the minutes weren't captured correctly. So I do want to assure the person that raised that concern that we've gone back and taken a look at the minutes. We've gone back and taken a look at the recording. We're confident that what has been put into the public agenda right now is the correct minute, so I'm not going to see any changes on that. I also want to ask staff just a quick question. How many people attended the public hearing in the fall? And how many people participated in the survey?
Thank you, through the chair. The survey, I believe, was completed by about 170-ish residents, and I don't actually have the numbers for attendance at the public hearing with me at this time.
Okay. I thought the public hearing had approximately 130 people, somewhere around there. The reason why I ask is that, when I'm looking at this document, great work from staff. Thank you very much for working with the community. I do want to thank all of the people that came out in Area D to participate in that whole process. And that's what's very important about this document, is that it's a document that everybody needs to collaborate on. I know that in the public hearing, we received a little bit of feedback where there's the presumption almost that it's that I get to make the correction, and that's really not really what this is intended. This is a document that's intended for wide collaboration. So I'm quite confident that that's exactly what we've achieved. We had good numbers, much better numbers than we had back in 2017 when this exercise was done. So yes, thank you very much, staff. A lot of hard work on this. And I think we have a really good framework now for being able to do some really good land planning for the next how many years. Thank you.
I think, is that your phone? Okay. Any other discussion on B? On receipt? Not on receipt? On receipt. No discussion. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. C, for electoral areas only. That Schedule A to bylaw 276 be deleted and revise Schedule A attached to the December 8, 2023 report from the CAO be substituted therefore.
So moved.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Von Esch. Discussion? All in favor, electoral areas only? Thank you. Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And D, that bylaw, electoral areas only, that bylaw 276 be given third reading as amended.
So moved.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Von Esch. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And again, electoral areas only, that bylaw 276 being Oyster Bay Bottle Lake Official Community Plan, bylaw 2023 be reconsidered and finally passed and adopted.
So moved.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Mulwini. Discussion. All electoral areas in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Bylaw 519, rezoning application, electoral area D, that the report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director Rice,
Second.
Director Lott, discussion? Director Rice?
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the report that came with this, I know that the applicants would love it if we went for option A. But after reading the legal decision on this, you know, I believe that we need to be careful. These applicants have already gone through enough. This has already been expensive enough. The delay on this has been enough. So whatever decisions that we make going forward, we need to make the right decisions. So I'm inclined to move option B, even though I know that it's going to add more time. But I think that having the second hearing takes away any ability or any thing that could possibly go wrong. And we'll just have to make that public hearing work. So I'm interested in hearing feedback from the rest of the board. Thank you.
Any feedback?
To the
Director
area
Wally?
director.
Oh, sorry, Director Lott, and then Director Wally.
Area Director, through the chair. I read through that report also, and I thought that in order to do our due diligence and make sure that this is something that didn't come back to haunt us as we move forward, and that we are very clear and transparent that we would go with option B. And that's what I'm also supporting.
Any further discussion? Director Wally.
Yeah, I was just going to concur with Director Rice as well. Option B is the option I think we ought to pursue. I know the board was concerned last time with liability, and option B eliminates that concern.
Okay, thank you. So did you want to do a motion there, Director Rice?
Yes, I would like to move
Sorry?
option B.
You're still on receipt, sorry. I
sorry.
apologize. On receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Go ahead, Director Rice.
I'd like to move option B, that the board defer consideration of the third reading on bylaw number 519 pending a further public hearing to be held at 7 p.m. on January 10th, 2024 at the Oyster Bay Resort Banquet Hall located at 4357 South Island Highway in electoral area D, and that the holding of the hearing be delegated to the Director for electoral area D.
I'll second that.
Director Lott. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Your microphone is on, Director Lott. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, number 3, bylaw 529, rezoning application, that the CAO's report be received.
Move receipt.
Director Rice.
Second.
Director Von Esch. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And B, that the report of the public hearing for bylaw 529 and all related records be received.
Move receipt.
Director Rice,
Second.
Director Mawhinney, discussion? Director Rice?
Thank you, Chair. This was a public hearing that we just had. I do want to just point out that even though there wasn't a whole lot of people that attended that public hearing, the mail out for notices went out to, I believe it was 21 households. So there was lots of opportunity for the community to engage and provide any feedback. The feedback that was provided was very positive. There was nothing, you know, outrageous with it. So I don't see any reason to not continue on with this. Thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And that bylaw number 529 be given third reading.
So moved.
Second.
Director Lott, pardon me, Director Rice, Director Von Esch, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And that bylaw 529 being the Campbell River Area Zoning Bylaw 1991, amendment number 65 be reconsidered and finally passed and adopted.
So moved.
All electoral areas.
Second.
Director Von Esch, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. and bylaw 530, 531, the OCP amendment for rezoning, that the report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director Mawhinney,
Second.
Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And that the report of the public hearing for number 530 and 531 and all related records be received.
Move receipt.
Director Mawhinney.
Second.
Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. And electoral areas only, the bylaw number 530 be given third reading.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney.
Second.
Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Electoral area only, the bylaw number 531 be given third reading. No,
So
it
moved.
just did B. Did I not? I missed D? Did I? Somebody put a check mark there. That bylaw number 5, see, I don't even drink, so I have, it was you. You snuck up. I couldn't see you. It went up there, okay? I wasn't going to say that. That bylaw number 530 being Quadra Island Official Community Plan bylaw 2007. I think I need to take a nap. Amendment number 19 be reconsidered and finally passed and adopted.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney.
Second.
Director Vadesh. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. That bylaw 531 be given third reading. Electoral areas only.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney. Director Vadesh. Was that you?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Again, electoral areas only. Oh, that bylaw 531 being Quadra Island zoning bylaw 1990, amendment 143, be reconsidered, finally passed and adopted.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney, Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, it is carried. Bylaw 534, Quadra Island zoning bylaw revision, that the report for the CAO be received.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney.
Second.
Director Vadesh. Are you leaving me? Is it something I said? Okay, just checking. I'm sensitive. We'll see you later on. Be safe. So anyways, do we have discussion on that? Well, why don't we ask the staff? Nope, they don't.
If you want us, dude, do you want us?
Do you want them to add something? No, I'm fine. You're good? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Okay, nobody else is allowed to leave. We're getting close to quorum here issues. That bylaw number 534, being a bylaw to revise and correct certain provisions of the Quadra Island zoning bylaw, be introduced and read for the first time.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney.
Second.
Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. You're turning that down, is that correct? Beautiful, thank you. It's the turkey. It's the turkey. That the rules be suspended for bylaw 534, given second and third reading.
So moved.
Director Vadesh.
Second.
Director Mawhinney, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. D, that bylaw 534 being Quadra Island zoning bylaw 2007 revision 1 be reconsidered and finally passed and adopted.
So moved.
Director Mawhinney, Director Vadesh, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Correspondence, we have 1 through, sorry? Yes. We have 1 through 10. Is anybody looking at getting any pulled? Would you like to mention it out loud?
Yes, I would like to pull number 2, number 7, number 8, and number 9.
I'm sorry?
Number 2, 7, 8, and 9.
2, 7, 8, and 9. Which one is WFP? That's a very good question. That's in there? Is that, oh, no. No, it's not. Number 3 is WFP? There we
There's
go.
a request for letter
We're
support.
going to pull number 3 as well. It's a request for a letter of support.
I'd like to pull 6, please.
Okay. Let's start with number 2. Director Mowini. Yeah, we can. I don't know if there's any left. Just a sec.
4, 5, 10.
1, 4, 5, and 10. On receipt, please.
Move receipt.
Second.
Director Rice, Director Vonis, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Number 2,
Move receipt of correspondence number 2, please.
discussion. Director Mowini.
Thank you, Chair. This one agenda item here, item of correspondence, represents a lot more than a few lines of digital type on this agenda. Included in this agenda item are letters from 44 more Area C residents. And 43 of these residents took the time to write to this board and express their concerns with Area C being potentially added to the Strathcona Gardens service. I just wanted to read you a couple of quotes because I'm not sure if you had a chance to read the letters or not. Area C property taxpayers should not be expected to assume the debt for a facility that they have had no control over nor have had the same opportunities to easily use. Another quote was, "You are within your right as a board to allow Strathcona Gardens to borrow $64.8 million, but do not assume that residents of Quadra are in agreement with being included in increasing our taxes to fund your adoption of borrowing the money. And in our current economic crunch, imposing a huge tax hike to outer communities who rarely use the establishment is short-sighted. The higher the taxes raised on locals of all demographics, the more you're going to see people not able to pay, and I don't think you want to add to the current unhoused population or lineups at an already failing food bank. And finally, Area C taxpayers should not be expected to assume the debt for a facility that they have had no control over." I just wanted to highlight some of those comments because there are quite a few letters there that I wasn't sure anyone would have read. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Number 3.
No.
Oh, sorry. Sure they did. No, direct, all in favor?
I have a discussion item to her, too.
Really?
Yes, I do.
By all means.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for bringing these forward. I think it's important for directors to be able to bring their constituents' concerns to the board and do so in a productive manner. That's exactly what I was doing when I brought the report, the motion for a report that we're still waiting for. There's nothing been decided. And when I brought that report forward, I didn't contemplate that directors would engage in questionable voting on electoral business, interfering with electoral area business from proceeding in a timely manner, interfering with potential grant applications and grant awards through the Regional Housing Service, and what some in my community view as downright bullying. You know, I did find some of the comments in the correspondence from your constituents to be interesting. And again, bear in mind, we're still waiting for a report. This board has not had a discussion yet. Some of the comments that I picked up on was proposed tax levy. What levy are you talking about? There's been nothing proposed. Blanket increase in property taxes for Area C for the Strathcona Gardens project. I think this is ridiculous to be spending $65 million to rebuild the gardens. And my personal favorite is it possible that those in Area D that agreed to borrow the money expect others to help pay the debt? When I made the decision back in January on the gardens, it was a very difficult decision. Newly elected, facility that has been run into the ground. What do we do? That is why we all came to the agreement that we were going to proceed with construction that has been waiting for more than a decade. However, as I've been able to find as we've been getting feedback from directors, Wally and yourself, that every once in a while a comment will rise to the top, like the comments from Director Matthew Jack when we were out in Walters Cove, how all the way out on the west coast, when his constituents come to Campbell River, they use the gardens. And I really love the letter that was sent to the board by a woman named Linda, and I'd like to read that letter. I've caught the ferry many times in the early morning, and I've seen the large number of children going on the ferry to the school in Campbell River. My grandchildren, now grown, spent their childhood in community centers, swimming, as well as joining in different activities. One of the boys went on to competitive swimming and worked as a lifeguard. Children raised with a healthy exercise spend less time on computer, less time eating unhealthy food, less chance of getting involved with drinking and drugs, and when involved in community events, learn to interact with others and not their phones. There is no facility on Quadra that'll give these children the same benefits. My suggestion would be to support the inclusion of Area C in the taxation and request a regular bus service from the ferry to Strathcona Gardens so that children and parents could easily access the gardens. If you've been attending any of the gardens meetings, there's already been discussions about hiring another driver. There's already been discussions about getting a bigger van. There's already been discussions to further programs with the schools. These are all in place. These are all of the things that the garden does bring to the regional district. So again, we're talking about talking for our constituents. My constituents are pretty angry as what has happened at the electoral area committee table in terms of getting meaningful, productive work done for Area D. Do you have any idea how much, when we play around with development permits, how much that costs those people? Any idea? So again, it's at this board that we can bring that forward. Thank you.
Point of order, please.
Okay, everybody's done? Director Wally, your microphone, please.
Yeah, first of all, on a point of order, Mr. Chair, I think you should ask for an apology from Director Rice. That's totally out of line to speak derogatorily about the other electoral directors. We have not played around with electoral area land use things. So I would appreciate if you do that, but perhaps before you do, just let me say that pick one letter out of, I guess what we've had now is well over 100 is a little bit of a perhaps political maneuver. The vast majority of the constituents, of course, don't use it. You'll always find one that will. I'm sure in Area A, there may be one or two that use the facility, but that doesn't justify putting the burden of the cost on the vast majority of the population that don't use it. And that's what the issue really is here, the fairness of it. So I take great exception to Director Rice's accusations as chair of the electoral committee. I do my absolute best to run that in a very fair way. We don't play around politically with land use applications. We evaluate the applications. We try in our best conscience to do what's best for those constituents of Area D. And Mr. Chair, I think you should ask.
You got, one, I agree that we should not be having, really that disparaging remarks, at the board table. I agree with that. The part that I disagree with is there is two sides to it. And when you have fear mongering on one side, saying your taxes are going to go up, the report is not even out. The study is not even completed. There's been no discussion and no, yes, you're paying, and yes, you're paying, and no, you're not paying. That has not happened yet. So until the study comes out, in my opinion, we should wait for that. But Director Rice, Director Wally does bring up a good point about the disparaging remarks, and that's something we should not have at the board table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me just say that.
It was Director Rice first, sorry.
Fair enough, Chair. I sincerely apologize, but it has been extremely challenging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Apology accepted. On your point, Mr. Chair, if I might just answer that, the figures that were quoted were simply quoted as fact that what is currently being charged as a tax requisition for Area D and Campbell River. Those were the figures quoted. That's fact. So there's nothing discussed there. As for the report coming out, yes, no one will know the exact costs, but the fact that costs will increase is another fact. That's all we're saying.
Well, it's a question of whether taxes increase or the cost increase in that, but also who's going to participate. There has been nothing written in stone on who's participating in that service.
That's right, but that's why we said if we were included, that they would increase. That's
Okay.
fact. That's all we said.
If being the big word. Director
You
Mahoney.
read my newsletters.
Yes, I have. Very
you, Chair.
creative. Thank you.
And I do take exception to the term fear-mongering that you just used. I feel that being forthcoming and explaining to the constituents of the communities that I represent exactly what the board is considering or contemplating or has asked for more information on, so that things don't come as a shocking surprise. And I think generally speaking, we get a report on a Friday night at 5 o'clock, and we are expected to weigh in and vote on it the following Wednesday morning. So if I wait until there is a staff report on a Friday night that expresses a potential inclusion of Area C residents in Strathcona Gardens Commission, the residents of my community are not going to have a chance to weigh in or express themselves to the board in advance of that. And that I have been really upfront with my community that it is up for consideration, that the staff report has not come forward yet. If you wanted to read any of my director's reports that I've read locally, I've been really clear on that. And I really do not appreciate the term fear-mongering that you've used to characterize what I have shared with my community.
Okay, thank you. Director Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. I just want clarification on how this process works here at the SRD. So let's assume staff of the report for the Strathcona Gardens issued, published on an agenda. Would we be expecting the board to make a decision at that meeting, or would there be some study sessions and more information being disseminated and even community meetings before the board would even vote on that?
Well, excuse me, that'll always be up to the board. You know, board could make a decision immediately. They could defer the report. They could include, community consultation, more report studies. So it's really whatever the board's will is. There's, on staff's perspective, there's zero expectation that there's a decision made the next day.
So there is an opportunity, correct me if I'm wrong, when the study does come out, if it comes out a staff report on a Friday, and the Wednesday is the board meeting, that every director has the opportunity to ask for it to be delayed till the next meeting. So they have time to properly go through their constituency and do what they have to do. Is that not correct?
Absolutely. Every report can be deferred. I mean, there cannot be an expectation, though, that reports come out before Friday. Like, I don't care what local government you work for. You're not getting staff reports before Friday. So the sense that it's too short a time, if it is too short a time, then you just come and defer.
Defer it.
But you cannot, it never will exist that reports come out sooner than that.
Go ahead, Director Mahoney.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe you could clarify for me, because to defer a report would require not only one director moving it and another director seconding it, but then also a vote of the board to defer. So there is no, one director can't choose to defer something and then it's a guaranteed deferral. Maybe this is a good time for staff to clarify that if there were additional electoral areas that were being considered or suggested in a report that they should be included in the Strathcona Gardens Commission, it wouldn't necessarily be a vote of the whole board. It would be a vote of the members that are already members of the Strathcona Gardens Commission and any additional electoral areas which were being, or Village of Sayward, which was being considered. Could maybe staff clarify that?
Well, that depends. The report itself, and I don't know what there'll likely be options for the board in there, but the report itself is a report to the board. So all that report is going to do is provide information and potential options. Whatever those options are, and depending on what is moved and supported, will be where it goes. So I honestly don't know what those are at this point. So it's really contingent on what the options are. again, about who votes or where it goes.
And I really think that this board would not refuse any director from a referral. I mean, it's not like we do this every week, somebody's referring something. So I doubt, defer, sorry. I doubt that anybody would have an issue with that. Director Wally?
Having sat here for 15 years, I can assure you that many requests for deferral are denied
Not from this board, though.
from this board.
This particular, let me rephrase. This particular group in the last year has not had it, this group has not done that. That's what I'm referring to. Not these individuals, no. Okay,
There have been some.
okay. So that was number 2. Where are we? We're still voting? Okay, well, I guess we're going to vote on that. On receipt, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Correspondence number 3. Did everybody get a chance to read the support letter? Motion to receive? Move receipt. Thank you. Second? Director Davis. And discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you. Now we'll go to number 6. Whoa.
What was that?
That was number 3.
But was there a
Support letter?
motion? Yeah, you just made, we voted on receipt. I didn't hear a motion to write a support letter. What?
So they've asked for a letter of support.
Yes.
So
I thought we voted on
somebody
that.
would have to move.
Oh, sorry, I thought we voted on that. Somebody would have to move the letter of support for WFP?
Yeah, Director Senate, I'll move that we do a letter of support for WFP.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Director Lott, Director Chapman, just in case we missed Director Lott. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Now, very delicately, I'm going to 6. Delegations to the 2023 UBCM convention. Director Mawini, you asked for this to be pulled?
I did.
No, you did? Director Vanesh?
Thank you, Chair. Just first pointing out that they're referring you, Mr. Baker, as their worship. I just want to make sure that that's not setting a precedent for the rest of this board. Second of all,
I prefer your holiness.
you might, just
to be
putting that
clear.
out there. This is obviously like a pretty form letter in response to us exploring the idea of a vacancy tax. I just wanted to let the board know that I'm planning in January to come with this sort of some preliminary research that I've done that shows that there's up to 1,200 empty homes in our district, and if there's a way we can lobby the provincial government to download a mechanism so that we can collect an empty homes tax, even a modest empty homes tax, that could be a significant amount of money that we could use to build housing, and just want to let folks know.
Okay, well, let's do
And
receipts
please
first.
don't call our Chair Baker worship.
No, don't call the chair break of worship, please. God, no. Again, on receipt. Director Mawini? Thank you. Second.
Second.
Director Wally, discussion on receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carry. You have a motion that you wanted to make? No? Okay, good. Number 7.
Move
Director
receipt.
Mawini. Director, move receipt. Second.
Second.
Director Von Esch, discussion. All in favor?
No, she's discussing.
Go ahead. It's
Thank
a
you,
tough one, eh?
Chair. Well, I would just say first that thank you to Sean Koopman for his support in assisting with this grant application for the Discovery Islands Neighborhood Fire Brigades and the Discovery Islands Emergency Preparedness Association. And then I would like to make a motion when it's the appropriate time to do so, which is to provide a letter of support.
Okay, on receipt. All in favor? Oh, sorry, you had something to add? No? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Go ahead, subsequent.
I would like to move that the SRD Board provide a letter of support to the Discovery Islands Emergency Preparedness Association for their grant application to provide neighborhood fire brigade training in North Quadra neighborhood fire brigades.
That's a motion.
Second that.
Director Davis was first. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Number 8, use of internal approval process.
Move receipt.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Director Wally. Discussion.
Thank you, Chair. May I? Unless somebody else wants to speak first.
By all means.
Okay, thank you. This letter of correspondence is from a Quadra Island constituent, and it highlights something which I've heard from many islanders. In part, the letter says, quote, "I wanted to voice my strong opposition to the use of AAPs for important issues like this, especially with the requirement of mailing in a physical letter when I can buy a house and renew a mortgage with an e-signature. I find this process to be fundamentally undemocratic and contributing significantly to a growing distrust in our local government." End quote. So I have a question to staff because I believe the Local Government Act regulates the creation of new services and provides only 2 methods of community input, AAP or referendum. So my question would be.
Petition as well.
Oh, petition. Okay, sorry. I haven't heard about that one much. When was the Local Government Act last updated, and has it been updated to reflect the current digital paradigm that we live in? Or is there a provision within it for digital participation? As this constituent is asking about.
Mr. Yates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at this point, I would say no. There is no security around the type of participation implied in the letter. Unlike banks and financial institutions, we don't require logins. We don't require verification of identity before people cast their vote, if you will, electronically. So that type of system has not been employed, as far as I know, anywhere in BC. So we continue to rely on paper. And we don't accept faxed or emailed copies because the proliferation of identity questions surrounding submissions of that type are paramount. And so it is an important process. And so we have not embarked on looking to find a solution. A solution would be very expensive, in my opinion. But if that's the board's wish, we can certainly look into it.
Thank you for explaining that.
Thank you. Director Wally.
Yeah, Director Mawhinney does bring up a valid concern for the electoral areas and those that are distant that have to rely on snail mail. It is an unfair advantage. First of all, if you live in town, you can deliver a official document on the last day before noon. If it takes a week in the mail or so, I don't know how long it takes to get mail from Walters Island. But it's difficult for them. And not everybody, especially elderly people, don't have access to computers. They don't understand them. They don't know how to run them. Hard for them to get a form, fill it out, get a stamp, put it in the mail and all that. And a lot of people just don't do that when, if there was some other method, they would certainly express their opinion on it. I guess it's not possible to entrust someone locally with a ballot box, like in an election. Would that be a possibility?
Mr. Chairman, we can look at those possibilities if the board wishes and report back. There may be some method that is trusted and secure and would work better, but we'd like to look into that a bit further.
If I recall, there was some process where, I remember for the Sayward Valley, the forms were in the village. I think it was for solid waste when we had an AAP years ago for their 5-year plan. That the forms were actually in the village. You could pick them up there and deposit them in the village. Perhaps that might be an alternative.
Mr. Chairman, the ability to provide forms for people to fill out is relatively easy. We can ship thousands of those out to post offices, to general stores, to community centers, whatever, for people to pick up if that's the issue. My understanding from Director Mawhinney's comment was the ability to send that back to the regional district through the mail or with someone coming into town or whatever. And I think that is something that we can look at, ways of perhaps making that easier.
Well, thank you. I thought perhaps, maybe from someone from the village office or council when they come in could just bring the ballot box with all things in there.
Director Mawhinney.
Well, I was just wondering if Tom Yates was suggesting that he would like a motion for a report on that type of thing. Did I understand that correctly?
Well, Mr. Chairman, following receipt, if the board wishes to have further work done investigating this, be happy to do that.
On receipt, everybody in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Do we have a motion? You need a motion. Don't need a motion?
You said you were good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and that December 5th, 2023 correspondence, oh,
Nine.
no,
Yep,
no,
that's right.
that's right. That's the right one.
9.
She's trying to confuse me. I know, it's easy, okay. Number 9 was also yours, Director Mawini?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, move to receipt, please.
Move receipt, please.
Second.
Second, Director Von Esch, discussion. Go for it.
Thank you, Chair. This letter, the correspondence here, has been circulating on social media. And I pulled it because I was wondering if staff could speak to the figures that are quoted in this letter and how accurate they are. In particular, the letter says that in 2020, SRD taxpayers funded debt interest costs to the tune of about $500,000 per year. And by 2025, according to the SRD's 2023 to 2027 financial plan, debt interest costs will rise to $3.6 million. And if bylaw 515 passes, that would rise to almost $4 million per year. And then it goes on to say that the SRD collected $15.6 million in tax revenue. So if that stays the same in 2025, debt interest charges alone will consume about 1/4 of the budget. And honestly, I felt like I read in somewhere in the financial plan that some of the debt belongs to municipalities and they pay it directly, but I was just hoping that maybe staff could speak to providing a little bit more clarity on this item.
So just at a high level note, correspondence, staff do not come prepared for anything. We have a board policy of putting correspondence on. We have zero preparation into that, so I don't have any answers for you. If you want them, for sure, a motion. One thing that I may have read into that, though I can quickly answer, though, if we're talking about debt, all municipal regional debt must be funneled through the regional districts. So if people are interpreting a financial plan and looking at debt, so if Campbell River wants to borrow $20 million for a sewer project, that debt will be funneled through here. So I don't know if that person's looking at this debt amount, it's financed through here, but then Campbell River will make those payments. I know that only is a small portion likely of what she's asked, but we don't have any preparation into anything she said there. If you want, we can do a staff report on it, but I have nothing.
After receipt. Director Von Esch?
When the auditor did come in to talk to our board and give a financial audit of the SRD, one of the questions I did ask at that time was, what are our debt levels? How are we doing? Do we have capacity for more debt? And I do remember him saying, like, we're at an extremely healthy place. And that is recorded on the transcripts, or I can send you the video sections for that can counterbalance it. Because I think you're right that this is kind of alarming and untrue certainly based on what the auditor said.
For the region, again, the city aside or the municipalities aside, that they'll pass, they'll borrow through here so that, debt is really not worn by the regional district. This regional district really has very little debt in itself. But those numbers can look larger when, especially a city the size of Campbell River, borrows money and that debt is reflected in our financial plan, but it's really an in and out.
That's what I thought.
On receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Do we have a second motion? You're good? Okay. So, Q. Funding the community health facilities. Director Mawini will provide a brief verbal report on funding the community health facilities.
Thank you, Chair. You may recall, my fellow directors, from Comox Strathcona Regional Hospital District meetings that historically the CSRHD has provided annual unconditional grants of $5,000 to 6 rural and remote health clinics. These are located on Cortes Island and in Tassis, Zabalis, Gold River, Cayucit, and Sayward. And further to that, the CSRHD board expressed a desire to expand the number of potential recipients and increase the grant amounts from $5,000 to $10,000. And the prospective additional health clinics are Quadra Island Medical Clinic and Denman and Hornby and Cluhus, Hamalco, Lakwiltok, Comox, Weiche, and Kwakiutl. So a spectrum from both regional districts. Funds were subsequently added to the CSRHD financial planning policy for the anticipated provision of these grants, and definitely in the case of the Quadra Island Medical Clinic and the society that runs it, they received notification that they would be likely receiving these monies. However, the Ministry of Health has declined to consider these facilities be named, which is a requirement of the Hospital District Act. And as you may recall from our October CSRHD meeting, we have appealed the ministry's decision, and this time no decision from the appeal to the ministry has been received. So I brought this to the attention of the board because I proposed that the SRD board send a letter of support for the CSRHD's appeal, and pending the outcome of our discussion, I do have a motion for that.
Anybody else? Nope. Go ahead. Director Mawhinney.
Thank you, Chair. My motion is that whereas clinics and centers in rural and remote communities have a unique role in an absence of any nearby health authority-owned and operated facilities, and whereas the Ministry of Health declined to designate the CSRHD proposed facilities as named, thereby prohibiting the CSRHD from providing financial support to the proposed facilities, I move that a letter be sent to the Minister of Health in support of the Comox-Strathcona Regional Hospital District appeal of the ministry's decision to not designate the requested additional community health centers and clinics as proposed.
Director Davis, discussion? Director Sinnott.
Yes, thank you. Not that I doubt that these are the facts. I don't see them in the report. So I think before staff do that, I mean, we want to see the actual objection and the paperwork. So you're absolutely,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's true. I mean, I don't disagree, but we should make sure we have all that paperwork and it's referenced in whatever letter goes back. As well, is it something that the Comox-Strathcona Regional Hospital District should just be confirmed that they want our support directly from that particular operating body?
Go ahead, Director
May
Mawhinney.
I? Well, I actually asked about this we had a hospital district meeting last Thursday, and I asked if there was anything that we could do to support the appeal, and the response was that we could politically bring a letter from our board to support the appeal. And I'm sorry that I didn't include the letter, or there's a staff report on the October agenda for the Comox-Strathcona Regional Hospital District, which does detail the list of additional named facilities and the response from the Ministry of Health. And Island Health was encouraged or supported the CSRHD appeal. So that's as much as I have. And perhaps if we bring this to a report in January, the appeal may have already been heard. So I'm not sure if we wait until January 24th for a further report, that it may be too late, but I'm fine if we want a staff report first, that's fine.
Oh, I don't need a staff report. I just want to make sure that staff have everything they need to be completely accurate, because the minute you have one inaccuracy, then the weight of your appeal diminishes. So our credibility has to be iron tight. That's all.
Director Wally.
I was just going to say, it would be nice if the hospital board had made the request, and maybe whoever you talk to, you could suggest that to them in the future.
But they made the request of us.
Okay, so what would you like to do?
I'm prepared to.
We have a motion currently on the floor.
I'm prepared to second this motion. I think the issues at stake are clear and were well documented in the hospital board minutes.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Okay, Q. That was Q. Oh, there is no new business. Other than, I would like to take this moment Dear all, we just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas from here, from the people here, to everybody at home, and a Happy New Year. Be safe. Please do not drink and drive, right? And have a great holiday. And it's termination from our 2023 board meetings.
Move termination.
That was quick. Director Moini, Director Von Esch, Director Davis. All in favor of termination? Opposed?
So remind everyone of 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock today at Velocity. It's somewhere around here, close by. Peterson Road. We'll see you all at 5 o'clock.